they'll be back to buzzing on that one.
Well,
But
one team
no.
will hope that there might be at least a change, or certainly would have loved to change, would be Arsenal. They hosted Chelsea at the Emirates after the draw with Manchester United last time out. Good win in obviously the Champions League, which now pits them against Real Madrid. 2 games coming up in future weeks. I mean, Mikel Merino set-piece goal, first one this year when everyone was talking that they weren't there. I said today, it almost feels like for Arsenal, the set-pieces is like getting an injured player back. Once those start going in, it gives you a little bit of belief. I didn't think it was a classic game. I thought Arsenal should have took the chances and got further ahead. I thought Chelsea were quite poor. I didn't think they particularly had a threat at the top end of the pitch. Obviously, no Cole Palmer. Jackson missing, Madueke missing on the other side. But I felt like Arsenal had enough, got the goal, didn't really need to exert them too much, absorbed what Chelsea had, basically got the 3 points and got the job done.
Yeah, I think there's just a few bullet points on this game, Rob, and I think we're on the same sort of page. I mean, clearly the better team, Arsenal. Clearly the better team. Yeah. There was some slick football. I thought particularly in the first half, they looked pretty good. Mostly in control. I think Arsenal found Chelsea a little annoying, Rob, with some of the possession that they had. Without, of course, and we'll get to Chelsea, without looking like scoring at all. Yeah. But when you're at home, you're Arsenal, it's nice to kind of boss the game a little bit with the ball. And Chelsea possess it well, they like Chelsea, I thought, struggled in the final third. We know the players is missing for them as well. Havertz, Jesus, and Bukayo Saka, Rob. They've still got really good defensive options and midfield options. And, Rice had another good game, was involved. But that front line for Arsenal just isn't as it was. You mix that in with Chelsea fiddling around with the ball at the back and in midfield and going backwards and sideways and having possession of the ball, which... I don't know. I just think Arsenal are like, well, that's okay at this point in the season. They got the goal, flicked on. I think he's trying to flick it onto the back post, goes in the far corner, and it wasn't a classic, but a very good win from Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, same thing, Rob, isn't it? The final piece is pretty limp.
Tame,
Very, very tame. And Pedro Neto, I think, has done reasonable as a false nine, looked frustrated on his own for large periods without Cole Palmer. The creativity's gone. So, across the back, they were okay with the ball, though they looked a little panicked at times defensively. I like the midfield with Chelsea. Chelsea midfield's good. And Romeo Lavia coming back is really good news for them. I think he's very good. I continue to be impressed with Wesley Fofana, who looked a little... I mean, he had a bit of a... He got fired up a little bit today and almost got the red card a little bit.
A few things he didn't need to,
But they didn't create anything, Rob, did they? No. They created nothing. That volley that Raya somehow let go through his arms and just went wide. Other than that, I think there was a little tiny header from Cucurella as well that was a shot on target, but it was nothing at all. So, I mean, just afterwards, Rob, when you listen to... Because I watched the show and all that, and of course I listened to the manager. I mean, he must know where they're lacking. Yeah. Would you expect him to be a little bit more critical of his team, or was he okay with them?
I mean, I don't know, Rob, because it seems like there's sometimes a bit of a after-game manager's game. Like we did this quite well, and we looked like this in our possession, and we gave them problems and that. And I'm kind of looking, going, you tippy-tapped the ball and went forward and moved back, and we saw a bit of the formulaic kind of possession, but we didn't really see any threat. I don't particularly think Raya had a lot to do. I don't think Saliba and Gabriel were particularly tested in a way that you would expect from a Chelsea team. So I didn't quite see it as he does. And I don't know, Rob, it's really interesting because it feels to me in the last month or so, and again, it's a bit of a generalisation, but he just feels and seems a bit of a different person, Maresca. When he first came in, I always used to love his press conferences. I used to say, you know what, I get this guy, and he had his criticisms, and he answered questions, and he told you why this and why Sterling was leaving and why Enzo wasn't in the team at times and how Cole Palmer's got to do more. And, there was all that stuff. And then, I don't know, it's almost like he's got a bit sharp with the press. I don't know if you saw his press conference. He's a bit like one-word answers and did you not hear me? I didn't want to say... And I don't know, it just feels like... And again, this might be a new manager, Rob, his first Premier League job. It's a big club like Chelsea, and we know that, you've got to deal with media, you've got to deal with fans, you've got to deal with players, you've got to deal with owners. I just feel like he needs to just control himself. There's an important period between now and the end of the season. I know they're in the Conference League, and they could end up winning that, and it's another trophy, maybe not the ones they want. But I think between now and the end of the season is an important time for this Chelsea team. One, they've got to come to a little bit of a challenge now because people are chasing them. They've got to get fourth or maybe fifth will be good enough. Get over the line and get Champions League football. And then that's a hurdle that they've come over. Keep saying about this team, they've got to mature, they've got to learn.
Yep.
Well, there's a 9-game window now, mate, to mature and learn.
Yeah, but this was one of the consequences of going with a young squad, Rob,
Correct.
wasn't it? And the philosophy.
Correct. Yeah.
And I, you know, I kind of like applaud them doing something different. They're trying to buy up the best young talent and really build a team for the future that could dominate for a period of time.
Correct.
Now, the downside or the potential problem was the lack of experience, the lack of leaders, you know, young players finding their way. Some are in great form, some are not in great form. Now they've got injuries. I'll tell you what we're seeing, Rob, for me as well. There's 2 players that played today, started the game today, that are weak for me. They're weak. They need upgrades. Jadon Sancho and Christopher Nkunku.
Yeah, the 2 wide players were not.
I mean, and this is all part of it, Rob, isn't it? I mean, they find a Cole Palmer, Madueke looks like he's got a bright future, you know, and a couple of, obviously, there's some ones that look really good, and there'll be ones that aren't quite ready to go on the journey. I think this is always going to happen. Always going to happen. They're going to find little holes in the squad. And whether that's a centre forward, whether that's another wide player, and I know it seems crazy because they bought a lot of players, but this is what happens when you buy the young ones that aren't proven in the Premier League level, that they're hoping that they can go on to be superstars. Cole Palmer could be a superstar, and a couple of others in the team as well.
So I hear you, and I take your point. So is the next step, because I want to come back at you with a slightly different look, but is the next look a next young player who you say, okay, we're going to take the gamble, or, you know, going to try and get the potential? Or is there a stage where you have to go, I need to go 24, 25, little bit more know-how, little bit more understanding of things? So that's part of my question, Rob. And then I'm going to go back to the second part is a lot of money spent, numbers in the building. I still don't think, Rob, in key positions down the centre spine of this football team, the goalkeeper, I'm still not sure. Cecil Sanchez today looked a bag of nerves.
It's not that you're not sure, mate. You know. And
Yeah,
we both know.
so that needs upgrading.
Yeah.
I still think there's another centre-back who has to come in the building. I'm not sure Fofana and Colwell will be the centre-back partnership that can...
I do.
I know.
I think they can be,
and
Rob.
I know we disagree on that. I
Okay.
think in midfield, I mean, Palmer, if he's going to play in there and how you build that up, but maybe you've got enough there. Wide players, I think we both agree. Madueke's out, who's a bit amiss and has been in decent form, but I'm still not totally convinced. Maybe if Neto's playing there, it's different.
Yeah,
and the
on the other side,
centre-forward piece. So I still think we're 4 key pieces from being where we would want to say, with potential, this is the kind of group I'm going to go forward with.
Yeah, I don't know if it's 4. I can definitely see 2. I can definitely see a striker.
Yeah.
I can definitely see another wide scorer, right? A regular wide scorer.
So
like some
I
of the
would
other teams.
say a central midfield player.
Crikey, you got enough in there, Rob. You got Lavia, you got Romeo, you got Enzo Fernandez.
Enzo and that.
They're more attacking. You got, I mean, he likes Reece James, which is in midfield.
An
I think
eight,
they're
Rob.
pretty good in
an
there.
8. A Morgan.
Well, Enzo's the 8,
Morgan
isn't it?
Rogers,
Enzo's the 8.
a Morgan Rogers player. I'm talking about.
Well, maybe.
And I'm not convinced with the centre back pairing. I've got to be honest.
Right. Yeah. The other question, Rob, which I think is a great question.
Yeah.
Is
what's the profile of the player they bring in?
You know what? I think they could do with a bit of experience. And I know the philosophy is against that, but other teams that have been built, Rob, if we quickly think back to the Man United side, you know, then all the class of 92 came in, brilliant young players, there's experienced players there. I guess on the lesser side of it, but a very well-respected football club, Rob, in Brighton Hove Albion, they have a ton of young players, but they have their experience in there. They have the Danny Welbecks and the Lallanas and a few other players that they bought to add that experience. So, yeah, would I like to see a 27, 28-year-old right in his prime, a strong personality as a striker or a wide player to add to this group? I would. I would. And we'll see. We'll see whether these directors of football feel like that's the way to go. The biggest worry, Rob, and we'll move on in a second, the biggest worry that I've got for Chelsea is the support. and the fans, and this is different. And
Well,
I don't know whether they're
not being
liking
on
the
side
slow
with
football.
what they're doing, and this kind of Enzo saying they have to understand what I'm trying to play and the way I'm trying to play.
It's a very different way to what they're used to. They're used to winning. They're used to direct football, fast football from Mourinho and others. And remember the experiment with Mauricio Sarri, Rob, which was very
a bit
slow,
like this, wasn't it? Yeah, and it didn't.
Very slow tactical football.
Process,
and it didn't work.
Yeah, less risk.
That's my biggest fear of this club, is that there's at some point, and I don't know whether it's going to happen. I mean, I know there's a little bit of unrest, but that might start edging the board and the owners to think, well, is this because I mean.
So to a point, Robert, does he have to manage the fans a bit as well? Does he have to try and do a little bit of that and try and keep them on side? Because
I don't think you can do that.
No,
you just got to, it's down to results, Rob, and it's wins. If he's winning games and his philosophy, and this is the proof of the pudding. If the football with a couple of extra people, another transfer window, and he tweaks it a little bit. If there's obvious progression, he's winning a lot of games, he's getting closer to the top. Everybody's good. But if he isn't, and next season or even if they don't finish this season in the top five spots and they keep the manager next year, if they're not quickly up there, then they'll be under pressure. Then they'll be under pressure. So that continues to be, I think, his biggest challenge, is convincing the fans that younger and more patient football, which can work. There's plenty of teams that play patient football and win a lot of things all over Europe, is the way to go when Chelsea fans aren't really seeing the full potential just yet.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Lowe, and as we head towards the end of an exciting Premier League season, make sure you like and subscribe on the NBC Sports YouTube channel for more content like this.